Picture this. It's Friday night. Wojak Hamster is sitting in a dealership under those buzzing fluorescent lights that make everyone look a little sick. His paws are sweating. The salesman's cologne is so thick you could chew it. And right there on the showroom floor sits a brand new pickup truck. Midnight black, chrome wheels, that new car smell drifting through the air like a promise. $52,000. Wojak doesn't have $52,000. Wojak doesn't have $5,000. But the salesman is already sliding the paperwork across the desk, and the monthly payment, only $789, sounds almost reasonable when you say it fast enough. Wojak signs. Now look at El Pepperoni. Same Friday night, same salary. He's driving past that exact same dealership in his 2014 Toyota Camry, 200,000 miles on the odometer, paint fading on the hood, a tiny crack in the windshield he fixed with a $12 kit. His finger hovers over the turn signal for half a second, then he drives past. Not because he can't afford a new truck, because he ran the numbers once, and the numbers made his stomach turn. El Pepperoni pulls into his driveway, opens his brokerage app, and moves $600 into a total market index fund. A few taps, done. Same salary, different choices. And what happens over the next 10 years will separate these two so violently that they'll never occupy the same financial universe again. If you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, and trust me, Wojak has no idea what's coming, hit subscribe. Now watch what the dealership doesn't want him to calculate. Here's the math your dealership hopes you never run. Wojak's $52,000 truck at 6.9% APR over 72 months means he actually pays $62,800 by the time the last check clears. But that's just the sticker shock. You're probably thinking, okay, $62,800, that's bad but not catastrophic. I need a car for work. You're right, and that's exactly where the trap starts, because the truck is just the down payment on a lifestyle. Insurance on a new truck, $2,400 a year. Gas for that V8 engine, $3,200 a year. And the second Wojak drove off the lot, his truck lost $11,000 in value. Poof. In the first year alone, the real cost is roughly $23,000. That's not transportation. That's a second rent payment with wheels. Wojak doesn't know any of this. He's washing his new truck in the driveway right now, smiling for the first time in weeks. The soap suds are running down that midnight black paint, and he feels like a man who's finally making it. Meanwhile, El Pepperoni's Camry costs $4,300 a year total. The difference, $18,700 per year. Invested at 10% average return over 10 years, that becomes $324,000. Wojak is sitting on a truck worth $11,000 that makes a rattling sound when he turns left. El Pepperoni is sitting on a portfolio that grows while he sleeps. You're not buying reliability when you buy new. The most reliable cars on American roads are 3 to 5-year-old Toyotas and Hondas that someone else already ate the depreciation on. You're buying the feeling of reliability, and that feeling costs $18,700 a year, but the truck is just the opening act, because on his way home from the dealership, Wojak pulls into a gas station, and right there next to the register, glowing like little rectangular dreams, are lottery tickets. Wojak buys 5, $10. No big deal, right? The odds of winning Powerball are 1 in 292.2 million. You are more likely to be struck by lightning twice. But Wojak doesn't buy once. He buys every week. $10 times 52 weeks, $520 a year, every year, fed into a machine designed to return about 50 cents on every dollar. And this is where Bonk Hooligan crashes through the gas station door, bat in hand, eyes blazing. Bro, forget 5 tickets. I'm buying 20. Go big or go home. That's Bonk. Everything at maximum volume. $20 a week on scratchers and mega millions because someone at his gym told him about a system. Annual lottery budget, $1,040. And here's the thing about Bonk. He won $50 on a scratcher 3 years ago. He's spent over $6,000 since then, trying to repeat that feeling. The state knows guys like Bonk, not by name, by zip code. Lottery billboards go up in neighborhoods where the median income is $32,000, not $95,000. This isn't entertainment. It's a tax on people who are bad at math, targeted at the people who can least afford it. El Pepperoni used to buy tickets, every Friday, like clockwork. Then he built a spreadsheet that showed what 10 years of tickets actually cost. He hasn't bought one since. That $520 a year, invested over 20 years, becomes $33,200. From not buying pieces of paper with numbers on them. If this is already making you rethink your last purchase, smash that like button. It costs nothing, and it helps more people escape the traps Wojak keeps walking into. Now, the mall. And this is where Bonk makes everything so much worse. But bad tickets are nothing compared to what happens next. Because the purchase Wojak and Bonk are about to make doesn't just steal their money, it actively makes them look poorer while trying to look rich. And there's a psychological name for this trap that explains why you fall for it too. Saturday morning. Bonk Hooligan is already at the mall when the gates roll up. You can hear his sneakers squeaking on that polished floor from 30 feet away. He's got his phone in one hand, credit card in the other, eyes locked on the Nike store like a guided missile. New Air Jordan Retros in the window. Limited edition. $220. Bonk doesn't think. Bonk swipes. Right behind him comes Wojak Hamster, cigarette behind his ear. Wojak didn't walk in wanting a hoodie. He walked in wanting to feel like Bonk looked. And there it is. A plain gray hoodie with a tiny logo on the chest. $89. He doesn't need it. He has hoodies at home. But the logo means something. It means he's not the hamster with the buckwheat bag anymore. So he swipes too. Here's what behavioral economists call status signaling. A study from the University of Chicago found that households earning under $30,000 spend about 30% more of their income on visible luxury goods than households earning over $100,000. The people with the least money spend the most on looking like they have money. El Pepperoni is at home wearing a plain black t-shirt from a Costco six-pack. $4 per shirt. Nobody at his net worth level cares what's on his chest, because wealthy people don't optimize for visible status. Their status lives in brokerage accounts, in real estate equity, in business ownership, not on their feet. Some of you are saying, but clothes matter for work, for dating, for self-confidence. And you're partially right. El Pepperoni looks clean, fitted, presentable, but he uses the cost per wear rule. His $4 shirt worn twice a week for a year, 23 cents per wear. Bonk's $220 Jordans worn 40 times before the next drop, $5.50 per wear. 24 times more expensive for the same function. Multiply across a lifetime. Bonk spends $4,200 a year on clothes. El Pepperoni, about $1,800. The difference, $2,400 a year, invested at 10% over 25 years becomes $265,000, $250,000, sitting in Bonk's closet, depreciating, going out of style, getting donated to Goodwill where El Pepperoni will buy it for $3. And here's what makes this even more twisted. That $89 hoodie Wojak just bought, it's about to trigger a chain reaction in his brain that will cost him another $400 this month. It has a name, the Diderot effect. And once you see it, you'll find it in your closet, your kitchen, your garage, strangling your budget with invisible hands. Denis Diderot was a French philosopher in the 1700s. Someone gave him a beautiful scarlet bathrobe. Gorgeous thing. But the moment he put it on, everything else in his study looked shabby. The old chair didn't match. The curtains clashed. The desk looked cheap, so Diderot replaced them, one by one, piece by piece, until he'd spent a fortune upgrading his entire life to match one gift he never asked for. That was 300 years ago. The phenomenon now carries his name. And right now, Diderot's ghost is sitting in Wojak's wallet, pulling out bills one by one. Remember that $89 hoodie? Wojak is wearing it at the food court, eating his quarter pounder, and he just noticed his sneakers look beat up next to the fresh fabric. They don't match. He needs new ones, not Jordans, just something clean, $120. And once he gets those, the old jeans will look wrong too. The hoodie demanded sneakers. The sneakers will demand jeans. The jeans will demand a jacket. One purchase is never just one purchase. El Pepperoni figured this out years ago. That's why everything he owns is deliberately boring. Plain shirts, simple furniture, a car that doesn't demand premium anything. His possessions don't argue with each other because none of them are trying to be special. That invisibility saves him roughly $400 a month in purchases as that simply never happen. But Diderot is just warming up. Because right now, Bonk Hooligan is standing in the food court line behind Wojak, bat tucked under his arm, ordering a double quarter pounder meal with an extra McChicken on the side. $14.37. Wojak gets the same minus the McChicken. $11.12. They sit at a plastic table sticky with someone else's spilled Sprite. This is not a special occasion. This is Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, and most of the weekend too. The average American spends $3,600 a year on fast food and delivery. That number climbed 47% since 2019. Wojak eats fast food 5 times a week. roughly $3,120 a year. Bonk with his extra sides, protein shakes, and energy drinks at $4.99 each, closer to $4,800. El Pepperoni spends about a third of what Wojak spends. Meal prep Sunday. Chicken, rice, vegetables. $2.75 per meal. Eats out once a week. The gap between Bonk and El Pepperoni over 30 years at 10%? $671,000 from cheeseburgers. I know what you're thinking. Meal prep takes time, and I'm exhausted after work. Fair. El Pepperoni spends 3 hours on Sunday prepping. Bonk spends 5 hours a week waiting in drive-thru lines and refreshing DoorDash. He spends more time getting fast food than El Pepperoni spends cooking. He just doesn't notice because the time comes in small invisible bites instead of one visible block. But food is just the appetizer, because Bonk's phone just buzzed, a new iPhone dropped, and his current phone, bought 11 months ago, suddenly feels ancient. What happens next introduces a concept called the subscription swamp, and the numbers are so grotesque I double-checked them twice. Bonk is standing in the Apple Store. The new iPhone glows behind glass like the Holy Grail with a titanium case. $1,199 for the Pro Max. Bonk doesn't hesitate. Faster, faster. He's handing over his card before the employee finishes talking. His old phone, perfectly functional, not even a cracked screen, is now worthless in his mind. Over 10 years, Bonk will buy 10 phones at an average of $1,100 each. $11,000 on phones alone. Wojak upgrades every 2 years. $4,500 over a decade. El Pepperoni upgrades every 4 years, buys the previous generation when the price drops 30% overnight. 10-year phone cost, $1,600. The gap between Bonk and El Pepperoni, $9,400. Invested at 10% for 20 more years, $63,200. From phones. But the phone is just the bathrobe. Every new iPhone needs a case, $49. Screen protector, $29. New AirPods because the old ones don't pair as well, $249. MagSafe charger, $39. Apple's entire ecosystem is a Diderot machine, engineered to make every product feel incomplete without its companions. And then come the subscriptions. This is where it gets truly insidious. Subscriptions are designed to be forgotten. They're the financial equivalent of a slow gas leak. You can't smell it, can't see it, but it's bleeding you dry every single day. Wojak has 12 subscriptions. He thinks he has 4. Here's what's actually hiding in his bank statement. Netflix, a gym membership he hasn't touched since February, Amazon Prime at the monthly rate instead of annual, a meditation app someone recommended, a credit monitoring service that does exactly what his bank does for free, and 7 more he's already forgotten about. Total, $178.22 a month. $2,138 a year. On things he barely uses, barely remembers, barely thinks about. Wojak opens his banking app sometimes. His eyes scan the charges. He doesn't recognize half of them. His thumb hovers over cancel, but he's late for work. He closes the app. The parasites keep feeding. Bonk's subscription bill is worse, $240 a month. Every streaming service, 2 fitness apps, a premium dating app, a sports betting subscription, 3 Patreons he forgot about, $2,880 a year. El Pepperoni has 4 subscriptions, audits them every January, rotates streaming services quarterly, 3 months Netflix, cancel, 3 months HBO, cancel. Total, $22 a month. The gap between Bonk and El Pepperoni, $2,616 a year. Over 25 years at 10%, $289,000. And here's the detail that should make you grab your phone right now. El Pepperoni once spent 45 minutes auditing every recurring charge. Found 2 subscriptions he'd forgotten. A news app at $9.99 and a VPN at $12.99. Canceled both. That 45 minutes saved $267 a year. His effective hourly wage for that exercise, $357 an hour. No job on earth pays that well for that little effort. But subscriptions are pocket change compared to the next trap, because the most expensive product poor people buy, the one rich people actively avoid, is sold to them disguised as protection. The math is so lopsided that when you see who's really being protected, you might want to throw something at your screen. Wojak is standing in Best Buy. He just bought a 65-inch TV, not because his old one broke, but because this one was on sale. $899 down from $1,199. Wojak thinks he's saving $300. He's spending $899 he doesn't have, and now the cashier is asking about the extended warranty, $149 for 3 years of total protection. Right next to him, Bonk is buying AppleCare on everything. $299 for the iPhone, $79 for AirPods, $199 for the Apple Watch. They're standing side by side at the register, two animals paying for the same thing. Not protection, but the feeling of protection. That fear, that very specific, very rational fear of being poor and unable to fix things, is the most profitable emotion in American retail. Extended warranties carry profit margins between 40 and 80%. For every $149 you pay, the store expects to pay 30 to 90 in actual claims. The failure sweet spot, where something breaks during the extended window, covers 5 to 7% of purchases. Wojak is paying $149 for a 5% chance. That's not a warranty. That's a lottery ticket wearing a blue polo shirt. Wojak isn't buying protection. He's buying 3 years of not thinking about it, and that's exactly what they're selling. El Pepperoni has a self-insurance fund, a savings account with $2,000. When something breaks, he pays and replenishes. Over 7 years, 2 things broke: a laptop screen and a washing machine motor. $620 total. If he'd bought warranties on everything, he'd have spent over $4,000. His fund saved him $3,380 and earns 4.5% while it waits. And this brings us to the most dangerous product on this list. If extended warranties are pickpockets and subscriptions are parasites, what comes next is a full-blown predator. It has a friendly name, a friendly face, and it's sold in churches and living rooms across America. 20 million people walk into its jaws every year. Whole life insurance. A very friendly agent at Wojak's church sat him down, slid a brochure across the kitchen table, a kitchen that smelled like microwaved ramen, and anxiety, and explained that whole life would protect his family and build cash value. Like a savings account that also keeps your family safe. Monthly premium, $280 for $250,000 in coverage. Wojak signed. A comparable term, life policy, same coverage, costs $32 a month. The extra $248 goes into a cash value that grows at 1.5 to 2%. Meanwhile, a basic index fund averages 10%. If Wojak invested that monthly difference for 30 years, $559,000. His whole life cash value after 30 years, $118,000. The gap, $441,000, goes to the insurance company. That agent earned up to 100% of Wojak's first-year premiums as commission, $3,360, from one scared hamster at a kitchen table. El Pepperoni has term life, $32 a month, same $250,000 if anything happens. No agent at the table, no brochure, no cologne, just a confirmation email and $441,000 that stay in his portfolio over 30 years. But here's where it gets truly dark. Friday afternoon, Wojak's check engine light comes on. His truck, that $52,000 temple of chrome, is making a sound like a robot choking on gravel. The mechanic says $800. Wojak's savings, $47.16. Credit card, maxed. Next paycheck, 9 days away. And right there, glowing between a laundromat and a pawn shop, is a sign. Fast cash, up to $1,000, approved in 15 minutes. The letters are bright green. The door is always open. 15 minutes. The carpet inside is thin and gray. A plastic plant in the corner hasn't been dusted since 2016. A woman behind bulletproof glass slides him an application. 15 minutes later, Wojak walks out with $800 and a promise to repay $892 in 2 weeks. Let's do the math, payday, lenders beg you to skip. $92 on $800 for 14 days. That's an annual rate of approximately 599%. 80% of borrowers can't repay in 2 weeks. They roll over. 2 rollovers, 276 in fees. 368. The average borrower takes 8 loans per year, spending over $520 in fees alone. On a loan meant to last 14 days. This is the Boots theory of poverty. Rich person buys $50 boots lasting 10 years, $5 a year. Poor person buys $10 boots lasting 1 season, $40 a year. Poverty is more expensive than wealth, and payday loans are the most expensive boots in the store. Meanwhile, El Pepperoni transfers $420 from his emergency fund for his Camry's alternator. Bonk is in a Vegas hotel room at 2 a.m. The room smells like carpet cleaner and regret. His phone shows a $4,200 credit card charge he doesn't remember making. A signed baseball bat leans against the minibar. He can't recall whose signature it is. If Bonk pays only minimums on that balance at 24.99%, he'll need 22 years and pay $6,800 in interest, $11,000 total. The extra $6,800 buys the bank a new conference room, and this is the moment, in that parking lot with the thin carpet and the dusty plastic plant, where their paths have diverged so far you'd need a telescope to see one from the other. Remember that check engine light from the very beginning? The fluorescent lights? The sweating paws? Let's go back, because right now, Wojak and El Pepperoni are both staring at the same orange glow on their dashboards. Same problem, same cost, and what happens next is the entire point of everything I've shown you. Wojak Hamster sits in the AutoZone parking lot. His paws grip the steering wheel. $800. He opens his banking app. $47.16. Credit card maxed. His stomach does that familiar dropping thing, that cold free-fall feeling, like missing a step on a staircase in the dark. He knows what comes next. The bright green sign, the bulletproof glass. $92 that becomes $276, that becomes $520, that becomes another year of drowning, all from an $800 repair, on a truck he bought to look successful, with lottery tickets still on the dashboard. 3 miles away, El Pepperoni's Camry makes the same sound. Check engine, $800. He opens his high-yield savings, transfers the money, calls the mechanic, schedules Tuesday, drives home, brews coffee, opens his brokerage app, portfolio up 1.3% this week, takes a sip. The apartment is quiet. Tuesday he drops off the car, Ubers to work for $9, picks it up that evening. Total impact, $809 and zero emotional damage. Same problem, same city, same salary. One spiraling into a debt trap costing over $2,000 by the time it ends. The other spent 45 seconds on his phone and forgot about it by dinner. The difference was never income. It was built over years of tiny decisions. The truck versus the Camry, the tickets versus the index fund, the hoodie versus the Costco six-pack, the fast food versus the meal prep, the 12 subscriptions versus the 4, the warranty versus the self-insurance fund, the whole life versus term plus investing. The payday loan versus the emergency fund. 7 categories, 7 traps, 7 doors. Wojak walked through and El Pepperoni walked past. Total cost of those 7 decisions over 20 years, including opportunity cost of every dollar that could have been invested, approximately $1.4 million. $1.4 million. That's not the gap between rich and poor. That's the gap between 2 creatures with the same paycheck who bought different things. Wojak bought status, comfort, fear-based protection, and instant relief. El Pepperoni bought assets, systems, knowledge, and time. If this video changed how you see your next paycheck, subscribe and hit the bell. Every week we dissect another satisfying trap the system set for Wojak and show you exactly how El Pepperoni avoids it. Drop a comment. Which of these 7 hit closest to home? I read every single one. Your bank has a word for people like El Pepperoni. People who don't carry balances, don't pay interest, don't buy extended warranties, don't fall for whole life insurance, don't visit payday lenders. They call them deadbeats. The actual industry term. Your bank's worst nightmare is a customer who understands math. Bonk Hooligan is at the Apple Store again right now. Wojak is eyeing lottery tickets through the gas station window. And El Pepperoni is sitting in his boring Camry, in his boring t-shirt, checking his boring index fund that just crossed another $50,000 milestone. Boring is the most profitable thing you'll ever be. The game isn't rigged against you. The game is rigged against people who don't know the rules. Now you know 7 of them. Become your bank's worst nightmare. Your move.